Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Composer, conductor, author, pianist Carol Weiss was born and raised in New York. During her high school and college years, she was busy writing and performing musicals. She studied physics. Did you graduate with physics?
No, in the middle of my junior year in college, I found out I was doing much more music than physics.
What would physics do? Why physics?
Physics is wonderful because physics is numbers. And math and music are totally compatible. They're the same
So
thing.
they was helpful.
Absolutely.
I wondered how helpful that could be in your background. So were you good at physics?
I actually was. I liked it a whole lot. But
we can't call that nerd, can we?
Oh, semi. The thing about music is, you know what we call it? We call it playing. And what's more fun than work is play.
Playing.
So I just play.
But you play.
Yes.
Right. Did your big break come with Mayor Daley, or had you had a big break before that in Chicago?
No, I mean, I always worked and this and that. I put myself through school playing the piano at Shakey's.
Did you?
Pizza parlor, you know, ragtime music.
Fantastic.
Oh, I loved it. I had such fun with that.
Oh, you're so good about that.
But-
And when did you start taking the piano?
Oh, when I was 10, and I took 5 years of lessons and went, well, I've got this down.
So
And
you didn't even need lessons.
Well, I did.
Did you study the classics as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I believe everybody should. First of all, it gives you dexterity, and it also, there's a discipline to it that's wonderful. I always played by ear, but
I was gonna
learning
say.
to read music has helped me in my life, and it's just, as I said, a very good discipline.
Mayor Daley. It
Yes.
wasn't really your big break, but it was a pretty big break.
It was are you kidding? What happened was, I was a babysitter for my grade advisor in college, and she had a little boy who was very creative, and she liked me because I was creative. And this 8-year-old and I wrote a musical together. Oh. And we played it for his mom, and his mom was connected to this organization, Urban Gateways. And what they were doing, it was Mayor Daley and Cecily Tyson, the wonderful actress.
Really?
Imagine that combination. They were trying to introduce theater to urban kids, to people in the center of Chicago who'd never seen theater. And the notion was that they could have careers as performers or directors or actors.
Fantastic.
So we wrote these plays and we toured the entire inner city of Chicago.
Oh, that's fantastic. And then Stage 9, that
Okay.
brought you to L.A.? What
Yes.
is that?
Well, I broke my ankle.
Me too.
Oh,
I
there you
broke
go.
my ankle
This one,
too.
I was in a cast for so long, I went crazy.
I didn't do anything. You
Well,
probably wrote
I wrote
everything.
a show. That's what I did. My neighbor and I, she was bored. We wrote this little review. We put it on in this little place down the
With
block.
your broken ankle?
Well, by the time the cast was up. An agent was driving through the center of wherever, saw this show, and offered us to go on the road. So we all left town, went on the road for 18 months, went to the Virgin Island for 2 months. It was heaven.
And so did he book it? And
He booked it. He booked
everywhere?
it. It was back in that day, you know, agents did that. It was also right before disco, so they were still interested in. It was a musical theater review.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a review, so there
It
were
was a
different
review.
people involved
Exactly.
in
Some
it?
of my own original songs, there were 9 people, which is where the name Stage 9
wow.
came from.
Stage 9 came from the 9 people?
That's correct.
And they were all singers?
They were all singers, they were all actors, they were all dancers, they were fabulous, and I had a fun time writing for them and arranging for them. There were 5 people on stage, and we had a band.
Did this come out of Chicago when you were
It
from
actually
there?
came out of Ohio.
You've conducted also, you're a
Yes.
conductor, you conducted at the Sacramento Music Circus,
Yes.
which is great.
It's a lovely place. But when I was there, the building hadn't been built yet. It was in the tent.
It was in a tent, I remember
And
that.
It was 100 degrees sometimes in the podium.
But that was a fantastic venue, and it was in the summer, wasn't
And
it?
there
It
were
was like-
stars. Yes, it was in the summer. There were stars and people, you know, the place was always
So
filled.
did you have an orchestra?
Oh, yes, usually 16, 18 pieces.
Because I was on the Arts Council then, and I was
Mm-hmm.
in Sacramento all the time, and they used to always talk about the music circus because it was renowned for Sacramento. I
It's
guess,
the
at time.
oldest summer stock theater, I think, in this
Oh.
half of the hemisphere. I don't know. It's been around an awful long time.
And besides that, you've written songs for TV shows.
Yes.
PBS
I
only?
did the very first song that was on a wonderful show that combined my two talents. It was called Square One TV, and it was about math. It was a musical show about math.
So
And
physics came in
it
handy
was,
again.
It was perfect. The very first song I wrote was called That's Infinity. And it's odd because I hadn't thought about it in years. I met up with an old friend. We had both been on that show. And a youngster, I don't know, maybe he was 25, said, "You wrote That's Infinity? It's my favorite song." And then I
Really?
found out.
And he
that
saw it when he was
sang
4?
it. He was 4 or 5. It's on YouTube. I had no idea I had done this in the 80s.
So he knew it
He
from a
knew
little
it.
boy. As
So there's still an audience that knows it, which is, I mean, part of the writing for me has always been about, I'm a teacher, and I love teaching children. And each of my plays has a message.
And that takes us to all the children's plays you wrote. I
Yes.
said the other day, oh, this is your 10th play, and you
Yes, it
said
is.
something more.
Well, I've done some more. I've done some adult plays too. I mean, the one that was my most successful, if you will, was in 1984 when the Olympics was here in LA. I wrote a show. That I was hired to write a show for American Express for the Olympics.
I saw
And it
that
was
you had
fabulous.
done that,
Yes.
and they used it for their advertising.
Exactly, and they used it when executives came to town to be.
They played
They
it?
played it. They did it for them. So
You know,
it
I was
great.
thinking like, oh, there she goes. She just wrote this Emperor's Clothes, and she's so great. And I went, oh, your play was something. I said something to you. And I went, I've written 10. I went, well, she's
I'm working
pretty-
on number 11
That's
now.
what So there I was,
Yes.
chasing after you backstage at the
Great.
Assistants League Theater, which
Yes. Is it not gorgeous?
it's like a little known secret, right?
It totally is. It's been around for over 75 years.
on St. Andrew's
On St.
Place,
Andrew's Place, a block west of Western, just south of Sunset.
which is fabulous, but it's also by that Russian church, so you can see the domes,
That's
the
correct, you
onion
can.
domes. I love that.
Yes. But what they do is so amazing. I mean, on the weekends, they're like any other children's theater. They perform, you buy a ticket, you go in. But during the week, they bus in children from all over the city who to see plays.
And
they-
who puts on the plays?
The members of the Assistants League. You
So
know that
they're the
the
9 o'clock
The
players?
9 o'clock players of the Assistants League.
And do they put on your plays?
They've done all of them.
They've
yes.
done all of them.
There's actually one they haven't done yet. I hope they will soon.
Oh, so during the week they bus in kids?
And they do the plays during the week.
Tell us about the 9 o'clock players.
Well, they're an amazing. First of all, they're all women.
That's what I.
That's number one. You've got to get this. That they play the men's parts, they play the women's parts. That's what they do.
And then we had our
they're
little
fabulous.
5-year-old, and she said, I think that's a man. No, I think that's a woman.
Some of their makeup is so amazing that you really can't tell.
I know, it was great. She loved the emperor, because the emperor
She's
looked
fabulous.
like jolly emperor.
Exactly. And the,
She was great.
She was great. The villains were great, I thought. I mean, they were all, the energy that they put into it. And, you know, as a lyricist, I'm so fussy. I understood every one of my lyrics, and I was so
I did
pleased.
too.
Isn't
Oh,
that
I didn't even
amazing?
think about that.
It is amazing because they're not professionals, really. They are community
Are they
players.
housewives? No.
Yeah.
Some
most
of them are?
Many of them are. Some of them have had, of course, training in theater.
But you know, I didn't think about that as a lyricist, because I did follow the story by what they're telling you, and they were
Exactly.
enunciated and they were clear. They sang
And some of them
clearly.
are tricky. Some of my lyrics are tricky lyrics. I don't.
Well, how do you do
know.
that? How do you write something that's just a common story?
The two scalawags who fool the emperor. I thought about them. I said, well, they can't just go around fooling emperors. They have to do something else. What else do they do? And I remembered an old story that I had loved for years called Stone Soup.
Oh, I saw, yes.
Two little tricksters who got food by tricking people. And I said, well, what if, before clothing, they got their food that way. So I added that to the front. And then in the whole
And that's
theme,
a great song.
thank you, I love it too. But in the whole theme of who's telling the truth and who's not, I gave the princess a boyfriend, right? And who was he? He's the boy who cried wolf. Now, in the original another story, when he cries wolf in the original, he's lying. But this boy isn't lying. Everyone thinks he's lying. So to me, those three stories combined told about truth and lying and who to believe and who not to believe.
So the forthcoming is going to be Tortoise and the Hare?
Yes.
That should have a lot of stories in it.
It does. I'm still working on it, but the important message in there is about bullying, which is such a contemporary theme.
Really?
And you think about the hare. I mean, my hare is actually the captain of the football team in his local school. And he's just so proud of himself. And the tortoise is
like that.
That's right. And the tortoise is maybe a little nerdy, wears glasses, and the rabbit keeps running at him, and the tortoise winds up spinning, and you know, he's a nerd, he's being bullied, and he doesn't like it, and he has to prove somehow that he's as good as the others. And that's where I am in the story right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. So do you write the story first, or do you write the music
Because
first?
I have no partner but myself, I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I see.
For instance, The Emperor, I actually wrote it on a cruise last December. It was
a week?
It was wonderful. Well, it was 16
days?
days.
Oh, it was.
But I didn't finish it then, but that's when I wrote the bulk of it. I was sitting on the deck with my laptop, looking at the beautiful ocean, and just typed away.
How
It was fabulous.
fantastic. Thank you so much
My
for coming.
pleasure, Joan.
Oh, I loved it
I
so
hope
much.
everyone goes to see The Emperor's New Clothes.
I hope they do too, and
It's,
they'll see it everywhere.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll have director John Henry Davis on in just a moment. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're here at the Hollywood Museum, and I'm with director, playwright, producer, John Henry Davis, who graduated with a bachelor in speech and drama from Stanford University and earned a master's in directing at USC, my alma mater, and then spent 60 years in New York. What did you do?
I fled.
You did fly,
Yeah, right.
but you flew, but it all started at Ramona High School. And
Yeah.
what was that?
Well, it was a great arts program where we sang madrigals. We sang with Beverly Hills High, and
Did you?
yes, we did. And I had a great drama teacher, and we did many plays, and I really, was excited about theater there.
And that was in Riverside.
Riverside, California, great school.
How did directing come in?
Well, as an actor, you have very little control over the whole thing.
Right.
And so I felt that need for control, and I had a lot of ideas about how to make the show better, and I discovered that I was frustrated as an actor. So
So
I
how
started
did you get
directing.
into directing then?
There's a great company at Stanford called The Company that they did shows extracurricularly outside of the drama department.
Oh, when
And
you were at
when I was at
college.
Stanford,
Oh,
when I was
you
in
did?
college,
Ah.
and I directed this huge production of Caucasian Chalk Circle
Oh, wow.
by Brecht there, and then I went on to get my MFA in directing at USC.
So were you interested just in the classics?
No, but actually my whole career is new plays, new musicals, new operas.
it is?
Mainly, yeah.
Then you went off to New York?
Yeah,
Did you have a job when you went?
no. But I did get a job 2 weeks when I arrived in New York. I got a job immediately as an
Because
understudy.
you had such a good background, I guess,
I
right?
don't know. I met Bob Kaufman, and he gave me a job as an understudy in a show with Christopher Lloyd.
Wow,
And
really?
yeah, and I was able to, I worked, I taught. I was immediately a teacher of speech in various colleges, and
Did
that's
you
how-
meet people in the theater right away as
Yes,
an
yes, I
understudy?
had. Well, yes, and I also had a lot of contacts from LA, so I met a lot of people in New York who helped me.
So what kept you kept you there for so long?
I got a full-time job as a professor at LaGuardia Community College.
Oh,
in
I know where that
Queens.
is, on the way to the airport.
That's right. That's right. And I was there for many, many years, and I became a full professor there. And so that was a real stable job. So it sort of enables you as a theater person to work and to do all kinds of shows everywhere.
What were you teaching?
Drama.
Oh, you were. So were
acting.
those people going to Broadway? Were you
Well,
sending
some of them.
your students?
Some of them. We have a great acting program, and I also taught video, so I have some experience in film and television too.
You made a documentary. You directed a film for TV called Ordinary.
Ordinary Sinner. Actually, it's a
What is
feature
it?
film.
A feature film.
A
yeah.
feature film. It's a feature film about it's about gay issues. It's about a murder actually in the gay community.
Did you write it?
No, but I directed it.
You
A
directed
friend of
it?
mine produced it. Film
And
Malone.
then you did some TV.
Yes,
work?
I directed Oz for HBO, and I did a pilot for Bravo.
And did
some
you
other
do it
things.
all from back there?
Yeah.
You did. And then what about Broken Mirrors? Was a documentary also?
Yes. Because of my very strange upbringing.
Which was what?
Well, my
Riverside?
Riverside. My parents were the most lovely people in the world, but on my mother's side, they were Jewish, and they concealed that from me. And so,
Oh, really?
and in fact, even later in life, she claimed that she wasn't Jewish.
Well, who's your father? What was
My
your
father was more Scottish and English side, but my mother was Jewish, so I was, by Jewish law, Jewish.
Oh, from the
and
mother?
yeah, from my mother's side, and so when I came to New York, people were saying to me, "What happened to your heritage? What happened to your background? It was stolen from you."
Oh,
and
you
so
mean
forth.
they knew you?
They found out. We talked about it, and so I made a little documentary about the way I was brought up and how.
What a great title, Broken Mirrors.
Yeah, you
And-
can't really see yourself, or the self you see is a little broken. It's not the same.
Oh, that's very interesting.
We did a lot with the film, and it's the first personal documentary I've ever made, so it was exciting and interesting to do.
And how did you do it? What did you use? Photographs?
It was
Bring your
about my
father
mother's
into
side,
it.
not my father so much, my mother's side of the family, my grandmother, that whole side, and we interviewed some relatives.
Did you
in
know them
Philadelphia.
all growing up?
A little bit, but we were here in the West Coast, so it was hard. But I knew some.
Oh,
of
they
them.
were all from the East.
Yeah, all Philadelphia.
She fled the East Coast to get
They
here.
fled to come here to make their way in the western part of the country.
And you fled to come back east and
right.
find yourself.
That's right.
This is great. So
Right.
you've directed a lot of plays.
I did a lot of historical pieces. I did a show at the Kennedy Center about Jim Thorpe. I did a show of Tom Babe about the Civil War era. I've done a lot of historical pieces and
A lot of research.
research. Yeah, I like to do that, and a lot of plays about interesting subjects. That are captivating.
And then musicals. That doesn't capture that, does it?
Sure, because I've done a lot of interesting. One musical is about Eleanor Roosevelt called Eleanor.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was done here in the West Coast and many places around the country.
Oh, who
Yeah.
played Eleanor?
Well, very different people. But it's a wonderful musical. I'm interested in shows that sort of have a theme and have an idea behind them that I.
But you didn't
appreciate.
write all of those.
No.
You just were directing them. So would you collaborate with the writer?
Sure. Yeah, you collaborate and you guide as a dramaturg, but I don't write them.
When you direct actors on stage, actors who have been in big films, Hollywood actors, is there a certain way you have to direct them? Do they understand what stage work is? Because you've worked with a lot of actors, right?
Yeah, most of the actors I work with have had some stage.
Oh, I see.
And when you're working in television, it's a very different sort of medium. But the actors all of them are interested in truth. You're interested in truth, and you try to capture that truth. Sometimes you have some ideas for them
But
to
can
help.
they act? Can
Sure,
they do the
sure.
the right thing?
Yeah, they can. I think. I mean, people on Oz are all very experienced. Most of them were stage actors before they were
I
film actors. I've never had that problem.
And then composers, do they want to tell you what to do when you're working on a musical and they've composed the music?
Sometimes this whole myth that the director is this sort of dictator and everybody. It's not like that, really. What it is a collaboration between all these great artists, and as a director, you try to get people in there who are better than you, who can sort of create the work.
A lot of the actors and who talk about getting awards and directors, but really costumers and set designers. Do you work with those kind of people?
Yeah. it's so exciting, and really that's why you get up in the morning. You know, to
They go
work
like,
with these.
I'm the costumer, but I had to work with the director to know what he wanted, right?
Well,
or she wanted.
you need a vision for the piece, and then you talk to them, and they have ideas that changes the vision and alters it, and it's constantly a changing thing. And I think that's what's exciting. And you know, in this particular play with Guy, we've had a collaboration for many years because we worked at an earlier production.
Let's
in New
talk
York.
about that,
Okay.
because that's getting into what I was talking about, where you're talking about exciting things. This is a world premiere, and it's called Dr. Anonymous.
Right.
And tell us what the story is.
It's about gay conversion therapy. In the 70s, they
Really?
were trying to, you know, it was a big movement to convert gay people
Yes.
because being gay was a disease. So this is about a pivotal figure who finally came out and finally addressed the American Psychiatric Convention and said, no, it's not a disease. We need to be recognized as human beings. And so eventually the Psychiatric Association then said that being gay wasn't a disease.
So did he base this on a true story?
Yes, yes.
And so how many people are in the
It's 6 actors, 6 male actors, and it's you know, it's a fictional story based on a real premise and a real person. But most of the details are made up by the
And then
author.
how do you research something like that? Do you talk to people who have been converted?
Yes,
Are there people who have
there
been
are. In fact,
converted?
there's somebody in our cast who plays one of our alternate characters who was in conversion therapy.
In conversion.
Yeah.
But I bet a lot of that came through the Mormon church too. Was that involved
I don't
at
think it
all?
was involved in this particular. This was sort of East Coast that Guy experienced, and it was there were several very famous psychotherapists who practiced it in the East Coast.
And they believed it.
Oh,
they
yeah,
believed
yeah.
they could come in and.
Oh, absolutely.
Was it done through the church?
No.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was absolutely a belief among psychiatrists that gay people were diseased and that we had to change them. You know, and there are people today
Who still
believe
it.
that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
this is about that time, and you know what I think about it is that one's sexual identity is so fundamental to who you are, and to deny that, and to make you feel guilty and ashamed for who you are is really a crime.
But in any way
Of
what you are.
So it's also a universal theme, of wearing masks to cover who you are, and let's take off the mask and let's see who you really are. That's what the play is about.
Do you use any of those things?
We do masks.
Do you? That's an interesting thing, because
he wears a mask and he calls himself Dr. Anonymous, as if, I don't want to reveal who I am, but I'm going to tell you that I'm a gay psychiatrist. So in other words, it's a way of saying that this is the straight mask I use to show you inside I'm gay and I have something to say to you. That's what that mask means.
And then does he talk to
he talks to the association. That's the climax of the play, is that he addresses the association.
And how did you cast these people? I know you used Michael Donovan.
Michael Donovan, the magical casting director.
I know, that's what everyone says. I interviewed him, but I didn't know he was so magical.
He is magical. He is absolutely the Merlin of casting directors. Did a marvelous job, and we got a magnificent cast.
So he can do a lot of plays throughout the city.
Right.
Because he just does the beginning part of it.
And he deeply cares about the show. He deeply cared about this show and making it right.
Does he know the story?
Yeah. He knows the story, reads the play
story.
very carefully. He talks to me. We have a meeting about what the play's about and who these characters are. I think these are such good actors that you, as a director, you sort of let them experiment, and then you mold what you see.
Well, you've been doing it for so long. I guess you know what to do with them, right?
Right. You get more and more patient about that sort of thing.
And can you do 2 plays at a time? Can you direct 2 plays at a time?
I've done it. It's very hard. I once did a show in New York and a show at Rochester at the same time. I was flying up to Rochester and flying back to New York for evening rehearsals.
But even if they're in the same city, and can you get one started and then start another one? Or?
Possible to do. It's very hard.
Is
it's very
it?
hard psychically, because when you're involved in the play, like a play like Dr. Anonymous.
But you don't have to go every night, do you?
Well, in rehearsal you do.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's if you have simultaneous rehearsals, that's hard.
That's hard. Oh, right. That's why that could happen.
But you can open a show and then start rehearsal of another. You can do that. People do that all the time.
But do you still go back to your original?
Yes, because the actors need an eye occasionally to tell, maybe remember this moment that we created, it seems to have been lost. Let's try to get that moment back. That sort of thing,
Oh. Well, we had your eye today. Wow, it was great. Thank you, John, for coming. And looking forward to Dr. Anonymous.
Right, it's at the Zephyr Theater.
Yes, it is, and it's a beautiful little theater. It's on Melrose, isn't
Melrose,
it? Yeah.
right,
So
right.
we're looking forward to it. We'll see you there.
Oh, great. Thanks so much.
And we'll see you next time. Keep writing to JAQUINN1 @AOL.com. We'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.